Tech Production.
If you're illiterate, you're illegitimate. You can't read my sounds, you can't see the words coming right out of my mouth. You can't hear my feelings even though they're so loud. You can't feel my heartbeat amidst the midst of a crowd. You should be able to smell my eyes and taste my vision. They're so palpable they can cut your taste buds with precision. Keep wishing you'll black out if you try for my sound. A spectrum of colors will let your ears lick the ground. Your sight is your best friend but your ears are the spouse. I know you think the nut took over the nut house, cause the asylum isn't silent. In fact, you're right beside it. You smell it in your mouth and hear it in your eyelids. Your nose is an open zone for my voice to travel through. My tone separates the bones and lights the organs in you. My gavel will impact you, judge and jury of the tongue, and I execute. Who are you, falling off the ladder rung by rung? Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Keep your mouth open so you can listen to my words, and keep your eyes closed so you can feel what's being heard. Feel it with your nostril, rearrange your senses. Hope I don't get hostile and fuck up the consensus. Relentless, my senses more developed than all the princes. Hence is why my brain waves are hopping fences. I sense this overwhelming touch in my ears. My hands speak poems, my heart just sneers. My peers need not hear what my eyes endear, but my decision is clear and my vision's drawing near. My lips hear jeers and awake when the ringer hits, and fires back no fears that leaks out my fingertips. My hands, yes my hands, they do most of the talking. My mouth just helps it out, my feet still do the walking. My eyes are alive, breathing right beside my sight. My eyes see the world, triggering the mind to take flight. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. You got 5 senses, use them, mix them up and construe them. Confuse them, spin them around until you abuse them. Can't you smell, see, hear? Are you that dumb? Do you not know how to feel? Not use your tongue? You need to levitate your senses. Hesitate, you're defenseless. So let me demonstrate how you can reinvent this. Take a lesson quick from someone who's disabled. Can't do these things from the release from the stable. They will save you because one sense will replace another. You cover one sense, then another one should hover. Time to discover, explore the depths of your senses. My ears cry tears because my peers are less inventive. The mind is a weapon, keeps your senses on alert. And the mind without the heart, your senses go berserk. If you're ignorant to your senses, time's wasted spent on this. Cause if you're ignorant to your senses, I call it censorship. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless. Heighten your senses, heighten your senses, heighten your senses, unless you're senseless.